Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Abishai, Bahashim Rakapudash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird that look like the heathen nations. And the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm, coming at you with another quick lesson in truth. All right, and we're going to rebuke the video that you see in the middle. The Seventh-day Adventist and Jewish scholar dismiss black Hebrew Israelites. That's the name of the video. And this video was sent to me by the brother, this brother right here up in the corner. If you can follow the arrow, Jason Morales, who's a help to the prophets. I get a lot of really good material from this brother. And and now I'll take this time, now that I'm actually speaking on the brother, to thank you, brother, personally, for all the stuff you've posted on my channel. I've been able to do a lot of good edification and teaching based on a lot of the information that I get from this brother. So I advise you Israelites out there to subscribe to the brother's channel. So without any further ado, this video right here, I'll play just like the opening credits of it and all the opening statements. And basically, I didn't watch the whole video. I only watched a little bit of it. It's hard to stomach it once you know the truth. But I'm gonna play just a few minutes of it, not even, maybe a minute or so, because then they begin to, cut her up and him up, talking about the fact that this is all off their opinion, because they can't come against the scripture or the history. And it's the history of this in the scriptures that discredit them. As a matter of fact, when you actually read the scriptures, it describes that these false people would claim to be the Israelites at the end of days, and that the Israelites would lose their heritage and not know who they were and wouldn't wake up until the end. So these Jewish people have been claiming to know their heritage and have been claiming to be the Israelites all along, which puts them into the position of being the imposters who claim the heritage of the actual people. All right, so without any further ado, let's click on it. And
guys, today I really wanted to talk about the black Hebrew Israelites. Who are these people?
Now it's funny she said that, because the Bible, there was a president in Egypt around the time that her people went over there to the land of Israel who asked that same question. And you can Google this, but it was Abdul Gabal Nasser, and he asked the question as of let's kill the sound and let it play. But he asked the question. He said, he made a statement. He said, you would never have peace in this land, for we would never accept you. Speaking to her. And he said, for we would never accept you, for you left here black and came back white. Who are you people? He said it in Arabic. And the funny thing is that every time that statement, that video was uploaded to YouTube, they would delete it. Because I actually had a Arabic-speaking brother from Jordan that actually used to own the gym where I used to work at. And this was probably around 2006. Watched the video with me, and he translated it all into English, and it all said exactly, what had been said. He said that the president said, who was the president at the time in 1951, he said before the whole world, you left here black and came back white. Who are you people? As a matter of fact, there was a dig that was just dug up in Egypt about 8-9 months ago, and all the images of the Egyptians were so-called black. Mind you, Moses, being of the tribe of Levi, lived in the house of Pharaoh. So you're going to tell me that someone that looked like her was able to live in the house of Pharaoh and pass off as being a Hamitic, a son of Ham? All right? Because you think Pharaoh would have allowed Moses to live in his house like that, had he looked this way? Or if he wasn't able to fit in? All right, because there was a very slight difference between the Israelites and the Egyptians. All right, physically. But nevertheless, let's grab some scriptures to substantiate that claim. While her face is on the screen, let's see if they fit it. Any of these claims that the scriptures make, that the scriptures say, I should say. Find Jeremiah. Know where we're going. Physical description of the Jews in the book of Jeremiah. All right, the physical description of the Jews in Jeremiah, the 14th chapter, and it reads. This is Jeremiah 14:2. All right, the word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth, which means dearth has something to do with famine. So there was famine going on. That's what dearth is. All right. And it reads, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish, meaning they have no leadership. They are black in description unto the ground. They're dark like the dirt. And anyone would try to confuse that, because I actually have a JPS English and Hebrew Torah. And when you go to the Torah part, it says Kadarwa. That word black there is Kadar. All right, and Kadar means dark skinned when you look it up in the Hebrew. In the JPS English part, on the, it says something completely different. The black part is written out. So what is she and her people trying to cover up and trying to hide? See, the scripture says that they were going to admit that they inherited lies, and she's just inherited and regurgitating the lies that she's been taught, which has been torn down by the Hebrew Israelites. You don't need to put black on it, because I'm not black. My skin is very, very light, very light brown, as the majority of the Northern Kingdom. Some of the Northern Kingdom look like so-called white people. As a matter of fact, you got Judites that look like white people. This isn't a color thing at all. This is about bloodlines. And I open up the video telling you that we got scattered to the four corners of the earth, and some of our people are like unto the speckled bird. Meaning they look like the heathen nations. Okay, another question that as a matter of fact, let's get one more description before I ask that question. Let's just get one more biblical description of what the Jews, Judah, the tribe of Judah, which is the same tribe that the Lord came from, right? What they look like according to Scripture, according to the Holy Scriptures. I'm trying to find my way to Lamentation. This is a small book that I always seem to pass up. And gonna read 2 out of Lamentation, actually. This is because it's referring to Jeremiah 14:2. It was talking about the famine, the dearth. All right. It said, this is Lamentation 5:2, and it reads, our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. That was that dearth. That famine that was spoken of in Jeremiah the 14:1. All right, we jump back a chapter to Lamentations 4:8, and it reads, their visage, meaning when you look upon them, is blacker than a coal. Everyone's seen a coal that you light your barbecue with, that you light a fire with. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Why? Because they're called Africans, African Americans, niggers. All right, we're specifically talking about the tribe of Judah here. Okay? And remember, there are 8 Shemite races on the earth today. Abraham and his fathers, his brothers, were all Shemitic people. All right? Ammon and Moab were Shemitic people that came out of Lot. All right? Esau is also of the lineage of Shem. Ishmael is also of the lineage of Ishmael and Esau are also of the lineage of Shem, making them all Shemites. The Hebrew Israelites are not the only Shemites. So you got a lot of people that make that confusion. But they're the only chosen race, though. All right? All these other Shemites don't matter. So that word, that anti-word that you see on the screen is something that they created. As a matter of fact, to even bring it up now, they'll delete your video. Okay? Because, why? Because it's too easy of a thing to disprove. Okay? Then let's go to Jeremiah. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. This has actually turned out to be a lot longer than I wanted it to be. The 17th chapter, because the scriptures clearly says that the Israelites would lose their heritage. They would not know who they were. All right? And this is Jeremiah 17:4, and it reads, "And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever." And this is the question that I've asked 1,000,000 times. Being sarcastic, but, quite a few. I'm sure maybe close to a couple thousand. But I've asked 1,000 times, when and where is the place that the Jewish people, all right, like this director, whatever her name is, I can't really read her name. Where are the relics, the proof, and the evidence of she and her people being sold to the four corners of the earth in shackles and chains, naked and in chains, with yokes of irons around their necks? When did these people, when did that happen to them? And then who did it on ships? When did they get put on ships and sold to the four corners of the earth via slavery? When did that happen to Jewish people? When and where? Because that is the main prophecy in the book of the curses, in the which is Deuteronomy 28th chapter, the 68th verse. Because in the 45th verse, it says that would be a sign, an identifying mark as to who the people of Israel are. That these curses would be a sign. That would be an identifying mark as to who the Israelites are in the world today. Is that the whole world would know by that mark that was placed upon them. And what was that mark? That mark was a mark of slavery, being sold into slavery on ships with chains and yokes of iron and scattered to the four corners of the earth. And that happened to Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We've produced and the proof of that 1,000 times over with the relics to go right along with it. The imagery and the relics to go with it. All right? What does it say in Tobit? Not in Tobit, but Baruch. Let's go to the book of Baruch 2 and 30, because she's saying she's never heard of them. No, because that truth has been hid and kept out of the world until now. So that you're supposed to hear about it now. All right? But this is Baruch 2 and 30. And it reads, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." All right? It also tells you that in Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter, I believe the first verse. Let's grab that. Salakia, this was just supposed to be a quick. But here we go. It says, "And it shall come to pass," Deuteronomy 30:1. "When all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether Yahweh thy power have driven thee." All right. So among the nations where we got driven to, in the end of days, at the end, we would remember ourselves. That's what the Bible said about his chosen people, the Israelites. Part of their punishment was to forget their heritage. And while we were in this stupid slumber, her people lied and claimed to be us. And now the cat's out the bag, and now they are exposed, and the shame is upon them and the hurt, which is good because I don't care. All right. So let's go to a video where a heathen breaks down the people of the region of North Africa, or what they South Asia, what they erroneously and deceitfully refer to as Asia Minor. Salakia is Asia Minor, which they deceitfully refer to as the Middle East.
I've seen when black people claim that the ancient Hebrews and Jews were black people and Jesus was not a white man. Many white people come across and say, okay, Jesus was not a white man, but he wasn't a black person either, because he was from the Middle East, and therefore, according to them, he must have looked like Arabs. But this is a fallacy. Just because the modern population of a region looks like X doesn't mean that the ancient inhabitants of that region looked also like X.
Because Esau does not acknowledge land migration. It's just like the same argument over Europe. They claim to be the Europeans, but they don't acknowledge that the Europeans were also a dark race of people, and that the people there now were not the inhabitants of that land. Yet they refer to themselves as Europeans, pushing forth a complete and total fallacy.
For example, look at Australia. Are white Australians descended from the ancient Aborigines?
Point.
Or are white Mexicans descended from the ancient Mayans? Of course not. The Middle East is the most melting pot region of the world. There are black, white, brown, Indian-looking and Mongoloid-looking people in this region, all of whom claim to be native and indigenous to this region. And for example, in Arabs, there are black, white, and mixed, the so-called.
Now let's get it. Let's correct him on some things. There are two. This man is brown, very brown. As a matter of fact, he's darker than I am. All right, his skin color is actually darker than I am. All right, but he's not black, and he's clearly not white. Even though he's gonna say that he looks white, and I don't see where. Do you know? Yeah, he's brown as a paper bag. All right, but nevertheless, there are only two sets of people as far as complexion is concerned. All right, you have people that are different shades of brown, from a very light brown, almost yellow. All right, because yellow is a derivative of brown, and then you have people that are shades of red, from a red to a palish pink. All right, those are your so-called collectively, except for those who have fathers that are not, are the Edomites. And then all the other 17 nations that the Lord created, all the other 16 nations that the Lord created were different shades of brown, some darker than others.
Brown Arabs, all of whom claim to be the real Arabs, but which of them is the real Arab? The black one, the white one, or the brown one? The same goes for Iran. There are many different ethnic groups in Iran. There are Mongoloid-looking Turkmens, there are Indian-looking Baluch, there are native blacks, there are white-looking Turks, there are mixed-looking Kurds and Lurs. Which of them is the true